Hey there, it's Corbin from Mud, Sweat, and Gears. If you're watching this video right now, odds are you probably bought a Santa Cruz or just a mountain bike in general from us, which if so, congrats. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to assemble it when it gets shipped to your doorstep, which may seem pretty daunting for a lot of people, but we make it really easy. That's because your bike has already been professionally built by one of our mechanics and then repackaged to ship to you. So long story short, the tough stuff is done with, and all that's left is 5 simple steps for you to complete, and then you're hitting the trails. But first, let's talk about tools. All you're gonna need is a box cutter, side cutters or scissors, Allen keys, specifically 4, 5, and 6, and a torque wrench. And then in this video, I'll also be using a bike stand, but you certainly don't need it. It just makes things a little easier. Which leads us to step 1, which is actually unboxing your bike. What you get in your box is going to be a little different depending on which bike you actually ordered. At the very least, what you're going to get is a bike frame, a front wheel, and then your handlebars are going to be strapped to the frame. Aside from that, you could get, if you had electric shifting, you're going to get batteries, charging, everything that would go along with that, as well as any manuals, decals, essentially anything that we had in the box when we built it. But once you're at this stage, you can kind of just start ripping all this apart. This is all the protection that we would have put on just to make sure it didn't get damaged in transport. So yeah, you can start doing that. Okay, so once you're done that, you're probably thinking, geez, that took a long time, and it probably did. That's because our mechanics are meticulous when they're assembling and getting the bike ready to ship to your house. Really, there's gonna be styrofoam or tape or some kind of packaging just about on every inch of the bike. That's because, well, we don't want it getting scratched on the way to you. But yeah, once everything is off, you can go to our second step, which is installing the handlebars. So the first step of putting your handlebars on is gonna be taking the faceplate off. Once those are off, you can go ahead and put the bar in. All you have to watch for here is cable organization, just making sure everything looks nice and nothing's being crimped or anything. And then as well, the direction of the fork, just make sure it's pointing the right way. Once you're happy with how it looks, you can start to snug the bolts up. Now, some stems are gonna have a 2-piece faceplate and others are gonna have a single piece. This Bergtech stem specifically is 2-piece, but it's gonna vary model to model. If it's a top lock stem, which we'll discuss in a second, there may also be an arrow on the faceplate indicating which way the stem needs to be pointed. But otherwise, like this Bergtech one, either way will work. So you'll wanna get them snug to the point where you're still able to twist them, and that's because we're gonna set the bar angle. So the guideline here is you're gonna want the rise of the bar to be in between straight vertical and the line the fork makes. If you know what you prefer, then twist in that direction. If not, somewhere in the middle is gonna do the trick. Then tighten that on up. So an important thing to note is whether your stem is top lock or not. Top lock stems are designed where you don't want any gap on the top of the faceplate, and tighten those 2 bolts all the way first. But those are less common, and for most stems, it's important actually that you have an equal gap on both ends of the faceplate. Then finally, you want to torque your bar. This bar is aluminum and specifically states it should be at 6 Newton meters on their website, but if it were a carbon bar, it's a different story and is definitely more particular. And depending on what bar you have, you'll just want to check it online and then tighten into a star pattern, and it should be all set to go. So that brings us to our third step, which is going to be installing the front wheel. To install your front wheel, the first thing you're actually going to do is take a few things off. So it's going to be packaging, and then specifically we have a brake shim in the brake caliper. We zip tie it just to make sure it's not going anywhere. I'd hold on to this brake shim because if you ever need to take your front wheel off, let's say you're putting it in the back of a vehicle, this is going to come in handy. That's because once the rotor's out of the caliper and there's nothing in between the brake pads themselves, if you were to pull the front brake right now, the pistons are going to pop out, which causes a lot of damage and is definitely something you don't want to do. So this goes in there, it clicks right in, and is going to prevent any of that damage from happening. So I'd put this in your toolbox just in case you ever need it. So once the brake shim's out, then you're just going to want to remove your front axle and grab your wheel, making sure that the rotor is on the side of the brake caliper, and you can just bring it on up and it should pop right into place. Then you put your axle right back through it, and on the very end of it, it's going to say the torque. So grab your torque wrench and just get it to torque. And now that's all to torque. That finishes step 3, and that brings us to step 4, which is rider adjustments. So your bike is essentially ready to ride now, but there are a few things that we want you to adjust because it's going to make the world of a difference down on the trail. The first thing being tire pressure. So We don't really know what it's at when we ship it to you. It's definitely gonna vary depending how long it was at the warehouse or a whole bunch of different reasons, as well as it's just very variable to the rider. So me personally, I like riding around 20 PSI, but for my weight and height, that's what I like. So I would check that out. One thing to know is on higher end bikes like Santa Cruz is here, they're all gonna come tubeless. So the sealant, everything in there is all tubeless set and ready to go. Some will also come with tubes. But yeah, definitely something you wanna take a look at before you hit the trail. Another thing you're definitely going to want to check is the air pressure in your front fork and your rear shock, so your suspension. That's going to make a world of a difference. If this were set to a 300-pound person, then that's going to feel terrible for someone that's 100 pounds. So we don't know what it's set at. Again, we don't know how much you weigh or your preferences. So I've left a link to a few different websites from Rockshox and Fox and different manufacturers of suspension on kind of what they recommend for different weights. So take a look at that. That can drastically change a bike. Another thing, of course, you're going to want to do is put pedals on it. So if we shipped it with the bike, it's going to be in the box itself, or maybe you had your own pedals. Either way, we'll show you how to do it. The main thing you're going to want to do is put a little bit of grease on these threads, and then when you're putting it on, a good trick with pedals is if you're wanting to put it on, you always want to be twisting towards the front of the bike. So that's going to be tightening it no matter whether it's the left or right pedal, because they are different threads. One's going to be reverse thread, and one is just going to be just like normal. But once you get it all snug, you're going to want to torque that as well. Another thing you're going to want to do is make sure the saddle height is correct for you. So we're going to do that when it's actually on the ground. The main thing you're looking for here is your leg at the bottom of the stroke. So what I mean by that is when your dropper post is all the way up like that, how your leg would be when the crank is pointing directly down. So as you can see on my leg here, it's a little bent. What you're looking for is essentially your leg to be almost fully extended, but not quite there. If it's all the way extended, you're definitely gonna get knee pain. And if it's way too, like let's say that was the top, that's also gonna hurt quite a bit. So you're looking for very close, but not quite there. So the way to do that is when you hop off, you're going to come on the side here and loosen this off. If there was no dropper in here, it'd be really easy. You can just go up and down willy-nilly. But since there's a dropper, you're gonna wanna make sure that the cable up here is moving with the saddle. So the way to do that is just gently pull it if you're going down, and you'll feel it start to come out of it as you go down. And then likewise, the other way around, if you need to go up, just make sure you're pushing it a little bit, assisting it. That's basically making sure the cable isn't getting crimped inside of the frame. So that's a pretty good height for me. Then you're just gonna wanna grab your Allen key and snug it right back up. I would definitely use your torque wrench again for that. But once that's at a different height, let's take a look. And as you can see, my leg is definitely better. So it's not quite fully extended, but it's very close. I'd say that's about perfect. So once you've got the saddle height set to where you like it, that's essentially all that you need to do. There's a few other things that I'm not gonna do since this is a bike yet to be purchased that will also make a big difference. One of them being cutting the bars down. That's something that can drastically change the feel of your bike, most of the time for the better. A lot of stock bikes are gonna come very wide. So yeah, I'll leave a chart and a website kind of talking about that below. So maybe take a look at that. Aside from that though, that's everything, which leads us to step number 5. All that's left is to take your bike out to your local trail and give it a try. Now, of course, throughout this whole process, if you did have any questions or concerns, absolutely don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'd love to help you out. You can do that either through our website or you can call any of our stores. But thanks once again for shopping at Mud, Sweat, and Gears, and enjoy the ride.